Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of November 24th, 2024. There's still time to sign up for today's Sagittarius New Moon Workshop. I will provide insights on the upcoming astrology and do hot take natal chart readings for as many participants as I can. And we're going to be having an unusual double retrograde with Mercury, the planet of communication, transportation, and commerce, as well as Mars, the planet of action, drive, and assertion, will both be doing backflips through the zodiac and helping you prepare for what could be showing up in your own life will be part of the discussion. If you miss it live, you can always get the recording. Please check out the link in the show notes or go to astrologybyceleste.com. Next, let's take a look back at some of the astrology in action. I'm recording this pretty early on November 18th. That's Monday, around 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. And this past weekend, on Saturday, we had a full moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus. When an outer planet touches one of the inner planets, we really see the themes come into our conscious attention. And especially when these things are happening at a lunation, like a full moon, you really see an amplification of the topics that the planet rules. Let's go through just a few of the stories that highlight the nature of Uranus when it impacts a lot of people, and the moon rules the people. My favorite story was about this New Zealand MP who stopped Parliament in their tracks by doing a Maori haka dance in protest about a treaty that was going to be discussed and whatever, some rules passed about that. But it really showed the revolt, the rebel, the revolutionary aspect of Uranus. Uranus breaks things and goes against traditions in order to bring us into a better future is the intention. Blue Sky is a social media app that I would gather most people had never heard of a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's been a huge exodus from Twitter since the election, and 6 million people have joined this app over the last week. Uranus has associations with broadcasting and technology that impacts a large number of people, like social media apps. I have joined Astrology by Celeste on the platform, so please follow me if you're on there. I don't know how active I'll be on there because I really don't have that much free time, but we shall see. Uranus rules upheaval, and Taurus is an earth sign. The increasing number of storms that we are seeing as Uranus finishes up its work in the sign of Taurus, it's going to move into Gemini next year, but dip back into Taurus. So at this end of the sign, there is a fixed star called Algol, and the full moon was conjunct Uranus and Algol. And in the Philippines, there were multiple typhoons. I think I said 10 typhoons that have hit the Philippines since the new moon in Scorpio, causing massive destruction. And right now, there's a storm forming in the Bay Area, California, where I live. So we're seeing these massive storms that are impacting a lot of people. We'll see how bad the storm that is here impacts us, but I imagine there could be news next week about a really bad storm in Northern California. Aviation is another topic, and Spirit Airlines, which is a budget airline, filed for bankruptcy. So the sun in Scorpio focusing on their debt, moon in Taurus, they cannot afford to keep operations going without making major changes. So there is this big Uranian upheaval and disruption that's impacting this airline and the people who work for it and travel on it. Uranus also rules people who are considered oddballs, rebels, and or outlandish. And many of the appointments President-elect Donald Trump is naming are shocking Washington. The one who's getting the most news is Matt Gaetz. He's a congressman from Florida. He was being investigated for having sex with a 17-year-old girl, showing fellow members of Congress videos of women he's had relations with, talking about his drug use. Well, he has been nominated to be the top cop in the United States, the Attorney General, and he is not qualified, as well as really disliked by pretty much everyone in Congress, and is just extremely Uranian, rebel without a cause kind of energy. So that has been, and some other picks have been dominating the news. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birthdate book. It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birthdate candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The theme of this week is no justice, no peace, and there are three big things I'd like you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Mercury is going to go retrograde at 22 degrees of Sagittarius on November 25th and back it up to 6 Sagittarius on December 15th before going direct again. Retrogrades are an optical illusion where it looks like a planet stops in the zodiac and goes backwards, stops again and goes forward. An area in your chart for this retrograde will be between 6 and 22 degrees of Sagittarius, where you'll have potentially a 3-part story. Most of the action will take place between November 7th, and that's when Mercury first passed 6 degrees of Sagittarius, where it's going to finish the cycle at, and January 3rd of next year, where Mercury will again pass 22 Sagittarius. Mercury rules communication and our thought processes, and when it goes retrograde, it gives us an opportunity to go internal and do all the RE words, rethink, revisit, review. This is not a time to start new things. It's a time to review things you've already done. Like if you've created a presentation, wonderful to go back and take a step back, look at the bigger picture. You may find some zippier language to add into it. Sagittarius, this mutable fire sign, can be funny, turn a word or phrase in a unique way that can have people laughing more. Mercury also rules transportation and commerce. When a planet is retrograde, it is in a weakened state. And some of the key things that are known for retrogrades are reversals, delays, the collapse of anything contemplated, conflicts, and disagreements. You may buy something and decide, "Ooh, I don't like it," and want to return it. It's really not a great time to buy any big, expensive items, especially things that Mercury rules, like any kind of electronic equipment or even appliances. It's not great to be purchasing them because, like, you could buy a refrigerator and it doesn't quite fit in the space because you measured a little bit off. And Mercury's in detriment in Sagittarius, so it really does not like to be in the sign because it cannot express the energy with ease and it can get extreme. I expect there'll be a lot of fights at the Thanksgiving table as people battle over their belief systems. Sagittarius has to do with philosophy. Also, travel delays. There could be tons of travel delays and hiccups where potentially even flights are grounded in some places in the world, possibly due to weather. Mercury is stationing retrograde opposite the natal Mars of the USA, which is at 20 to 1 Gemini. So this, to me, speaks to having trouble getting from one place to the other, as well as conflict is really going to be amplified. I was journaling a while ago and I just wrote down Thanksgiving is going to be a nightmare. So if you're traveling, make sure you take extra everything you need. Do not leave the house without going to the bathroom before you leave because you could be unexpectedly held up from getting to your destination, delayed because of unexpected things. There is a fixed star called Ras Al Hug right around 22 Sagittarius, which is known as the head of the snake charmer. It also has associations with healers and teachers. These may be some of the themes that are coming up. Notice if you see a lot of snakes in the news or thinking about them or have people talking about them, especially around November 25th. This transit really impacts Donald Trump's chart. He has his moon at 21 Sagittarius and his north node at 20 Sagittarius. So it's conjunct his moon and north node in the fourth house. The fourth house is the house of home, family, and foundations, but it's also opposite the 10th house of career. And on the 26th is where he was supposed to be sentenced for his crimes that he was convicted of related to the Stormy Daniels hush money payments. But all proceedings were put on pause at the request of the DA because he's been reelected president and the prosecutors need more time to consider next steps in order to balance the competing interests. So I would not be surprised if they just dropped the whole matter because at this time you can think about an indictment is mercurial and decisions are mercurial. And at the same time, Jupiter in the sky is conjunct his Uranus. It's Jupiter retrograde conjunct his Uranus. So that could be a lucky Jupiter break Uranus in these trials, as well as the south node in the sky is on his Neptune in his second house of finances in the sign of Libra. Libra has associations with legal affairs. So his legal problems could just dissolve, which have an impact on his finances. And Mercury on his south node, all this stuff just gets sucked into the cosmic vacuum cleaner and goes away. So this is why, in part, it's called no justice, because he has been convicted of these crimes, but he's probably going to have no consequences because of it. And I know there's some people out there, I never thought he was going to go to prison or really expecting that. And he's a very lucky guy. His Saturn is what we call bona fide. It's between Jupiter and Venus. And a lot of times throughout his life, he hasn't had any consequences for his actions. We'll see what happens, but He very much is that Ras Hagul, the snake charmer. He really has an ability to talk to people in a way that they buy into what he's saying, even if it's against their best interest. Apparently, there are a bunch of Arab people and Muslim people who voted for him in Michigan, and now they've got buyer's remorse now that they hear all of the things all the people he is putting into his cabinet positions. I don't know what he told these people, but why they would believe it is very strange, seeing as this is the man who put in a Muslim ban. But here we are. It's F around and find out. Well, finding out is coming in hot. The biggest pieces of advice for Mercury retrograde is to slow down. Don't initiate new things. Rather, review things you've already done. Avoid making big purchases unless you have to. If you're signing any deals, triple check the paperwork. Be aware there could be delays, so don't leave things to the last minute. Leave early. Finish up things early because there can be disruptions around electronics or transmissions, and be extremely careful about email or any kind of written communications because there can be accidents where you send something to the wrong person. So keep that in mind and everything should be just fine. If you're entering into a conflict, just be aware it could go from 0 to 100 in a faster speed because of Mercury retrograde in a fire sign. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a Grand Trine in fire in the sky that's pretty tight. So the sun in Sagittarius, the sun spotlights and illuminates things. It rules leaders. Mars in Leo. Mars is the planet of action, drive, and assertion. And the North Node's in Aries. The North Node's not a planet, but it's a point. And the North Node is an amplifier, and it has associations with karmic things. Fire trines allow for easy access and flow of the element of fire. Fire is dynamic, it's yang, it pushes the energy out. It can be dramatic, inspired, also easy access to conflict. Desires for independence are going to be things people are going to feel amped up about. People can be very passionate, inspired about what they were willing to fight for. Aries, related to beliefs. Sagittarius, and they feel really heart-centered about Leo. So hopefully this energy will encourage you to move your body, to feel passionate and alive and inspired about something that's really meaningful to you. But just be aware this energy, this circuit, people can just get into anger or really heated or annoyed very, very quickly. And it has explosive energy. Now, Mars is the planet of war, and we may be seeing a lot of amplification and of the conflicts that are going on around the world. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a balsamic moon in Libra this week on Tuesday. This is the last phase of the moon cycle, the 3.5 days where the moon is just emptying out her light. Libra is a sign of balance and harmony. It's an air sign that encourages us to partner in ways where we can find win-win solutions. So consider that when you are speaking with someone, rather than just going into that easy access of Mercury retrograde bringing in conflict. Can you think about other people's point of view? A great time to relax if you can do so. Now, it's opposite. It's happening at 20 degrees of Libra is where the moon will be. Opposite Chiron in Aries of the United States chart. So people may be talking about wounds of the country, the fact that the land is on fire. Hopefully the fires in New York and New Jersey have been put out by this time. the justice. Libra is the scales of justice that's been delayed or sunsetting because Donald Trump is going to get away with all of the things that he did. The hush money payments were the least of anything, and many people, myself included, feel like that probably never should have been brought to trial. But it was, and he was convicted, but he probably won't face the consequences. So these are some of the things that are coming to my mind about this balsamic moon in Libra. But if you can, get extra rest, get in flow as much as you can before the new moon that's coming up soon. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is quirky. We start the week with the moon in Virgo, this mutable earth energy, answering in to Mercury, which is slowing down and getting ready to turn retrograde. The moon will square Mercury, so that can bring people feeling confused, argumentative, highly critical. The shadows of Virgo energy and Sagittarius energy will come out, like someone getting on their high horse about their belief system, Sagittarius, and telling someone else the what, for, which, when, and been, because in a very critical way, Virgo. Your electronics may be acting a little funny or being a little slow. Sagittarius can be really comedic, so maybe you'll watch a hilarious and quirky movie on this day. On Monday, the word of the day is delays. Now, maybe the big news happened yesterday, but there's a Libra moon at 3:19 a.m. Pacific time. We'll meet with the South Node on this day at 5 Libra, so soon after. And so when the moon meets the South Node, there's this going down the drain energy, things being sucked out. The cosmic toilet bowl are some of the things that the South Node has been called. And so what's going down the drain? Is it diplomacy, balance, justice, harmony, art, these sorts of things? And Mercury will turn retrograde at 22 Sagittarius at 6:42 p.m. So plan to have a lot of patience on this day because there will be some people who are interrupted or having to go take a detour to where they want to go because that is what happens when Mercury goes retrograde. And if you have anything at 22 Sagittarius, especially, there's going to be a story in your life. Definitely also 1 degree on either side, and you could even go up to like maybe 5 degrees. You may see and recognize a story related to Mercury retrograde themes. Also, if you have planets around 22 Gemini, it may come in an opposition. Someone outside of yourself may be telling you about how they got into a conflict with someone. The squares are Pisces and Virgo, so that could be like this internal, ooh, I was going to do this and I changed my mind and I'm not going to do it anymore. So lots of changing of minds, changing of plans, reversals, delays, the collapse of anything contemplated. On Tuesday, the word of the day is judgment. And this is the day Venus in Capricorn will be quincunx Jupiter in Gemini, both at 17 degrees. Now, quincunxes move us into new situations where we have to release and let go of things. We can think about Capricorn rules governments. Jupiter has to do with the law. Donald Trump is a Gemini. And Venus is resources, also relationships. And what is the government of New York City going to do about the hush money case for Donald Trump? He's been convicted. He's supposed to be sentenced, but now he's president. So this is that quincunx, that unstable energy, that irritation, where the state is likely going to release and let go of their case against him, I would imagine, or delay it indefinitely. And as I said earlier, Donald Trump's Uranus is at 17 Gemini, so Jupiter is conjunct his Uranus, which could spin around a reversal about this legal case, a lucky break, a lucky strike. These are the things that we could be seeing about him. And the Sun in Sagittarius is trine the North Node in Aries, both at 4 degrees. So we can be looking at amplified energy in some way. Now, number one, the Sun spotlights things, but it also rules leaders. And trine the North Node in Aries, the competitor is victorious. We're looking at fire, competition, independence, a pioneer. There's amplified Aries energy. I'm getting that there's only one shot. You got to take your chance to blow. Opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Lose yourself. Oh, I'm getting that Eminem song in my head for some reason. But anyway, that's neither here or there. The thing is, there's this fiery, exuberant energy on this day. Mars is also in Leo, and Donald Trump has his natal chart, Mars in Leo. And so this Grand Trine fire energy, my expectation is that he's going to have no consequences about that case. And when I was writing, I wrote down Benedict Arnold wins. And it's so interesting because Benedict Arnold has his Venus. I went and looked at his chart after I wrote that down, has his Venus at 17 Sagittarius. So Jupiter is opposite his natal Venus. And for some of us, we see Donald Trump is a Benedict Arnold type person. The balsamic moon begins at 20 degrees of Libra at 8:58 p.m. opposite the natal Chiron in Aries of the U.S. chart. So the Chiron in Aries in the U.S. chart is at 20 Aries in the fourth house of the opposition party to the party in power, as well as rebels and land are things that the fourth house is associated with. So that's also where I got the Benedict Arnold theme from as well. On Wednesday, the word of the day is victory. The Sun in Sagittarius is trine Mars at 5 degrees of Leo. This brings to mind the tarot card, the Six of Wands, which is a victory card. So notice if you see people celebrating. I mean, I assume Donald Trump is going to be celebrating. There could be an exciting sporting event that you see or read about, or you're watching a movie where there's something very celebratory that people are excited about. There'll be a Scorpio moon at 4:20 p.m. Pacific time. So there's going to be an energy shift around that time of the day. Scorpio is deep waters. So you may have, somebody could have been having a conversation. Someone could have said something that is a little Marsy, so a little piercing, poking, led to little conflict, and someone else could get silent. Water signs are mute and then start fuming. Scorpio can be intense, holds the energy. It can be on the warpath for revenge kind of things because they didn't like what was said. Maybe it hurt their ego with the Sun trine Mars on this day. A spotlight on haughty behavior. Someone's an egomaniac could be a spotlight on that, who gets mad because they get their feelings hurt. And you can see steam start coming out of their ears. And maybe someone criticized their partner because Venus is in Capricorn square Chiron in Aries, or how they invested their money Like someone could have invested their money in a stock, let's say Spirit Airlines. Now they're broke. Somebody's teasing somebody about the fact they're lost all their money investing in Spirit Airlines, and the other person short the stock and they're feeling victorious. And yeah, that could be something that could be related to the nature of that energy. Or it could be people in a marriage are having conflict over their responsibilities at home. Who cleans the kitchen? Who pays the bills? Who is responsible for setting up the budget? That sort of thing. Or in a business partnership, there could be some kind of conflict, Chiron and Aries, where that you're ready maybe to burn it all down. Venus and Capricorn square Chiron and Aries are both at 19 degrees, in case I didn't say that. On Thursday, the word of the day is snow job. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a beautiful Thanksgiving and you're not one of these people who's going to have to sit at a table in mixed company where people just can't be quiet but have to get into it, whatever side they're on, into a heated discussion about the election or politics or that sort of thing. And it kind of ruins the mood. The Scorpio moon is like passionate, it's intense. People may not be willing to let go, is trying Saturn and Pisces. So that's where I get snow job as well, because both Pisces and Scorpio are water signs, and Saturn is a cold, dark planet. When water freezes, that's where I got snow from. And maybe somebody's talking about, I can't believe you were snowed by that candidate. They're so X, Y, and Z. How could you fall for what they said? On Friday, the word of the day is flicker. The Scorpio moon is opposite Uranus and Taurus. So I got the image of lights flickering. So maybe if there was a big snowstorm someplace, lights are out for some reason, or Mercury retrograde could be really bad winds that are impacting travel, that sort of thing. Or I got Black Friday in the United States. Certain people, I have never gone shopping on Black Friday outside the house, are in a store fighting, and people stand in line to get in the store for hours to get, $200 off a TV or whatever. But people fighting over something they want to buy. And I see like two people holding on to some electronic device, whether it's a TV, a phone, whatever, and they're both like pulling on it, and neither one of them wants to let it go. Or there could be a power outage somewhere, or some kind of hack of some site. Could be something that goes on with, Mercury retrograde, the moon opposite Uranus, this sort of energy. On Saturday, the word of the day is spirited. We're going to have a Sagittarius moon at 3:52 a.m. Hopefully the mood is lightened. You maybe are laughing about how you struggled over a TV with somebody and telling the story in a way that's really interesting and makes people laugh. Or you're talking about what you saw on TV and people making a spectacle of themselves, and you're telling it in a really spirited way. There's going to be a new moon at 9 Sagittarius at 10:21 p.m. Pacific time, but it's Sunday on the East Coast, so I am going to save talking about the new moon until next week's episode, but you can set your intentions if you're still awake at that time, or you can wait till the next day and listen to next week's episode before you set your intentions about the Sagittarius new moon. But anyway, hopefully you will join the workshop, which is today if you are listening on Sunday when the podcast dropped, and you can join and learn all about what's coming up and get intention setting guidance. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.